Hey everyone, what is up? It is me, Ewan from What Culture, joined today by...
Adam, how's it going?
And today we're going to talk about Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. Yes, we have just been to see the 5th installment in the Indy franchise. And now normally, Adam, I think you agree that starting the video off with that, be a cause for excitement. I love Indiana Jones. You love Indiana Jones.
Oh, yeah.
I've recently just done my full series rewatch. And yeah, the opportunity to see Indy on the big screen, it's always exciting, I think you'd agree.
Absolutely, yeah. Like, you always come out of those movies with a sense of joy, you know, a sense of feeling of triumph when you think, at the end, like, Indy is just, you know, gone out there on this massive adventure and he's riding off, like I say, as we were talking about, into the sunset on a horse there, and it's phenomenal. And you feel like such a sense of joy coming out of the theater seeing that. Yeah.
Yeah, so unfortunately we don't actually have much encouraging news to bring you on the movie. We both came away with kind of a similar opinion of it, and that is the opinion that it is not good. I unfortunately found Indiana Jones: The Dial of Destiny to be a weirdly dispiriting and depressing viewing experience, which really kind of just undercut the happy ending that Indy got in Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
Yeah.
We will be going into spoilers here, so if you are spoiler averse and you are going to plan and go see it, obviously I would encourage you to do that and form your own opinion. Then you will want to come back to, after the point you've watched it, to go and listen to our thoughts. But yeah, basically, for those who don't know, Indiana Jones: The Dial of Destiny is directed by James Mangold. So obviously the first 4 Indy movies written and directed by George Lucas and Steven Spielberg. So when they announced that, you know, neither Spielberg or Lucas would be involved in the 5th Indy movie, I do have to admit, Adam, I was a bit trepidatious because I don't necessarily see the point of doing an Indy movie without its key creative architects. You know, obviously Harrison Ford is a key pillar of that series, but to me, so much of what I love about Indiana Jones comes from, you know, that creative duo that is Lucas and Spielberg. You know, they are essential to those movies' success. And yeah, but at the same time, you know, I really like James Mangold as a filmmaker.
Yeah.
I love Copland. I love the 3:10 to Yuma remake. And I'm a really big fan of Ford versus Ferrari. So if anyone was going to come in and, you know, send the Indy franchise off, I thought he'd be the man to do it. But unfortunately, what I got here wasn't Mangold's. It didn't feel like a Mangold movie in a weird way.
Yeah.
And it didn't feel like an Indiana Jones movie. It just felt like a kind of lumbering, you know, franchise send-off that had really kind of just depressing revelations. And again, I didn't go into this with like the greatest expectations. I was excited when it was first announced.
Yeah.
But I've still come away from the viewing experience like completely deflated.
Yeah, I think Mangold might have been spending too long in like the world of Logan and how depressing that was, and obviously
Logan, yes.
that's kind of rubbed over onto this because, you know, like Spielberg and Lucas, like in a way Harrison Ford is Indiana Jones and they are Indiana Jones, right? They understand that character, they bring that joy and that essence to the movie, and they understand how to get that, you know, elicit that, and the audience kind of just goes with that. But this just had so much of the soul of what we love about Indiana Jones and what we know. And as you said, from the ending of Crystal Skull, which ended really happily, and you kind of thought, yep, we've got that there. It's a really nice kind of bow on that franchise. If we get nothing else, at least he got that happy ending, right, with Marion. Oh boy. Oh boy, oh boy, that soul is just taken out of this movie, and that's such a shame. It is such a shame, and that's kind of the feeling that's left with me there, is that, you know, it should have been Indiana Jones and the Lack of Soul. Like, honestly, that should have been the title, and it would have worked.
Yeah, it's a real shame. So for those who, you know, obviously the premise of this movie, it's set, you know, over a decade after the events of Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, and you'll probably have noticed if you've seen the trailers for Dial of Destiny that Indy isn't with Marion, he isn't with Mutt, he's on his own in an apartment. And right from the off, we are informed that Marion and Indy have separated, and something, you know, and then there's a bit of dialogue shortly after that saying we lost Mutt, and they go into it later in the movie that Mutt enlisted in the army and was killed. So we've gone from that kind of, you know, lovely white picket fence ending that Kingdom of the Crystal Skull gave us, where you have a beaming Cara Dallin, a beaming Harrison Ford, you know, getting to marry each other. Obviously, it's Indiana Jones and Marion Ravenwood. And then you come through to this, and most of the movie is almost like a meditation on the pain of growing old, which, you know, obviously when you do grow old, there is a lot of bad... We endure so much as human beings the older we get. but it felt to me as if the majority of this film was just a really kind of just really sad, morose, just, you know, Indiana, it's not Indiana's world anymore, and he's lost the will to live, which it kind of goes into in the finale, where he's presented with the choice of whether or not he stays in a certain world or comes back and either lives for himself or other people. And none of that really, like, I feel like even Indiana Jones, when it's at its darkest and even cruelest, you know, Temple of Doom is my favorite, there's always that feeling of adventure and spirit, and like, as much as Temple of Doom is a dark movie, it's still ultimately romantic and uplifting and spirited. Whereas Dial of Destiny, to me, both in a visual and narrative sense, it's just a very, very deflating watch.
Oh, absolutely. And it's like, it's really interesting as well, because the whole movie deals with this concept of like the old and the new, right? So obviously Harrison Ford's character as Indiana Jones at the age that he is now is very much in that old classic. There's even lines later on when Phoebe Waller-Bridge's character says like, oh, I'm in this for the money. And Harrison Ford very much hints towards the old being priceless, you know, and like, and how much we have to respect. It belongs
in a museum.
Yeah, right. So we've got to respect, and we've got to respect and live by that. And, you know, you compare that to like, say, Shia LaBeouf in, you know, Crystal Skull. Like, he was this young schmuck, of course he was, but he still had so much to learn from Indiana Jones, and he understood that, right? Whereas you get Phoebe Waller's character in this, and she's the representation of like the new modern side of this. It was very kind of like, I already know everything, I already know all of this, I've got nothing else to learn from you. And it was just more of that tension between them that just added to the depression of the movie, really. It was just like, what? Like, it was such a confusion of like, you know, tension together between them.
Yeah, it just feels like, I know people really like Phoebe Waller-Bridge. I have to admit, I haven't seen Fleabag. I haven't seen a lot of the stuff that she has done. I thought she was fine in Solo, but there is a real smugness to her character of Helena here that I found just really undercut like a lot of the sincerity of the film. It just feels very kind of like, ooh, and that just really frustrated me. I think there's obviously, you know, a cool twist of expectations there where you expect Indy's goddaughter to be following in his footsteps, and you have the reveal that actually she's like just auctioning off history to the highest bidder and is a, you know, a bit of a gambler, a bit of a rogue. But her character and her arc, it just never really kind of resonated with me. And I think, you know, Indy, who should be our in here, he should be the guy we're rooting for. It's just a reminder of like this, the film puts him in such a rut. And even though it attempts to dig him out of it at the end, and we get some, you know, really heartfelt stuff from Ford, and Ford is really, really good here. It just never really... It never feels like it's justified its reason for being, which is a shame because there is stuff that's exciting. Like you mentioned earlier on the action sequences.
Oh, yeah.
Mads Mikkelsen is fantastic in this film. Boyd Holbrook's a great time as his kind of underling. And I like the idea of an indie movie diving into Operation Paperclip and the idea that the Nazis never really went away. You know, they were brought into the fold, and, you know, that kind of changing world that Indy found himself in Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, that's further expanded upon here. But it kind of pays off in a really messy finale that is sure to annoy loads and loads of people. Me personally, I was just kind of like flabbergasted that they went there. Although I kind of admired it because it's oh,
balls.
You're actually going to time travel all the way back to the Roman invasion of Greece. But at the same time, I'm just like, this is just they then add to that with like the whole sad element too. So it's just weirdly dispiriting.
I mean, that ending, my God, like the moment that they went through the fissure in time and like ended up there, I was like, are we really, like, is this happening? And like, you know, at first when they saw the ships and it was the Roman ships there in the water, I thought, okay, are we just gonna have a quick flash and then they're gonna go back in? But the fact that they stayed there and then everything from there was just like, right, we are going here. This is nuts. Let's have a great time. I was even saying to Ewan on the way out, like, obviously, you know, they get inside of Teddy's plane and they fly back through. But then I was thinking, if he just sat on a catapult and was fired through, I would have accepted it, because now we're in crazy land. Like, we really, really are. And there was so many things there at the end. Like, you know, Indiana Jones obviously literally like slapping you in the face of, just keep me in the past. I don't want to live in this future anymore. And it was just so depressing. Like, really, really depressing.
Because he doesn't make the choice himself to come out of it. He's forced. And sometimes you do need people to drag you out of that and, you know, tell you that you are wrong. You can't always come to the right decision on your own. But the way that it wraps everything up, where he reunites with Marion, It's as if all that tension and upset and trauma has just been diffused out of nowhere. She's just back. There's no there's a reconciliation, but there's no conversation.
No.
It's just, oh, we both have pain, but at least we have each other. And that, to me, is just a really big bummer note to not only end this film on, but to send the entire indie series off onto.
That's what annoyed me the most, I think. Like, out of all the craziness is the fact that if you're going to end the film like that, that conversation could have happened right at the beginning and that would have been it. You know, but the fact that they came back together, because I know they haven't spoken for a long time, but then to have that small of a conversation to then suddenly repair things, the whole movie didn't even need to happen. Put that conversation at the beginning, everything's fine, Indy can live happily ever after. It was just, it undercut so much of what the movie set up, and I just didn't really get why they had that.
Yeah,
nice to see Marion again, though.
Let us know what you think of Indiana Jones: The Dial of Destiny. If you have been to see it, are you a fan? I'd love to hear your thoughts, and if you didn't like it, rather, please do let us know the reasons why down in the comments below. And be sure to like the video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to What Culture if you're new, because we have lots of fun, hopefully more uplifting content than a Dial of Destiny takedown, because I love indie. We've got an Indiana Jones ranking coming up soon as well as more fun bits about Dial of Destiny, so yeah, keep tuned for that. In any case, I've been Ewan.
And I've been Adam.
And we will see you next time.
Take care, guys.
Oh, the hat.
The hat, all about the hat.
Yep. You lost today, kid. That doesn't mean you have to like it.
You take the hat off me.